Hi. I want you to consider a situation where you spawned in the middle of the desert, where the heat is absolutely unbearable. You happen to be sweating and panting, overall pretty much on the verge of completely losing your senses to these overstimulating sensations. So in order to somehow ground yourself and remain self-aware, you frantically look around for something to grasp, something which could potentially lead you back to reality and keep you sane. Essentially, just so happens that the only thing around you is the sand. Of course, it is the desert after all. I mean, you always do have an option to grab a cactus, but let's just stick to the sand one for everyone's sake. So you crouch down and greedily yank a fistful of that substance. A couple of seconds later, when you let loose of your hold, you allow yourself to notice that just a single grain has remained in your palm. I can see the faces in the crowd. Why would I even care about the sand when I'm out here dehydrated and dying? Sure, you don't have to care about it, because like I said, you're dying. But what if you imagine yourself in a better situation? If you weren't in this god-awful case where you're dehydrated and dying, would you perhaps allow yourself to wonder about it further? Would you allow yourself to question it a bit more? What if this grain shaped landscapes? What if this grain is the star of the movie Dune? Yes, not Timothée Chalamet, which I, by the way, really love, but this single grain that is remaining in my palm at the moment. But all jokes aside, at least you'd ask yourself, why did it choose me out of all times and places like this? If you were to think about it a bit differently, in a more mundane way, every single day you hold out the doors open for strangers and assume that it's just a common courtesy, something that we do single-handedly without thinking about it further. If we have some time to spare, you might even recycle the trash, a single bottle in your hand. But despite knowing that your action will bring a positive change, you somehow still doubt the result. As in, I'm just a single person. How could one bottle, my impact, change anything? But if you know that it doesn't bring any kind of a change, why do you still do it? From my experience, what I've noticed that most of the common folks that I've met have this little thing about them. They forgot how to question simple things. Or perhaps it's even worse. They never knew how to question simple things from the beginning. Now, you may be thinking, if something is a statement and a fact, why would you even question it in the first place? As in, it's a statement, it's obvious, you shouldn't question it. Perhaps once an elderly figure, an authority figure of some sorts, has told you what's the right thing to do and what's wrong. Something immoral, you shouldn't do it, and something is good, such as recycling the bottles, holding the doors open for strangers, etc., etc. I'm not even going to start naming them because there's a bunch of them. But to think about it, that reasonable explanation that the authority figure has given you alone was enough for you to just never contemplate again. Now, you're thinking, why would I question something that is reasonably explained? I shouldn't question simple things around me because it's just a waste of time. And that's where you're mistaken. The thing is, our brains remain in a constant state of thinking, contemplating every kind of solutions, different patterns of thinking. And if we were to stop thinking for a moment, it's not possible. It's simply not possible. Even when you're asleep, your brain is giving you dreams. It's giving you thoughts. That's what makes us human. In case we were to reject this kind of thinking, our senses would dull. We would reduce ourselves to nothing but mere animals. Now, the story that I want to share with you takes place in 1964. My favorite era, by the way. But unfortunately, the story is not so fun and rainbows. It's a story about a lady named Kitty Genovese, a lady who was brutally assaulted and murdered in the streets of her own hometown. The most grotesque part about this story is not the fact that she was just killed, single-handedly, without a single doubt, but the fact that there were multiple bystanders, watching the entire situation go down like it's some kind of a movie, like it's a series that they might encounter on Netflix. If later this story has become an interesting psychological phenomenon and took a name of the bystanders effect, a notion where a group of people is watching something go down in front of them, yet they can't bring themselves to stop it, or should I say, bother themselves to stop it. If one day any one of you stop themselves and stop asking questions altogether, you would not be prepared to face bigger challenges. You would not be prepared to contemplate and face changes. So I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel. All I'm asking you is to look around, ask questions, question everything around you, challenge the authority, because one day it will all come back. Thank you.